The folks that come on the show have been playing the format for a long time, and we tend to run cards that some new players might never have heard of. We discuss some of those cards each week in our feature segment, Hidden Gems. All right, mainline me. What do you got this week?
So, you sort of told me I needed to make this one a hidden gem because I've been playing it in my Niv Mizzet deck, and I played it on Thursday, and it did hilarious things. I've chosen Grim Feast. Grim Feast is an enchantment, costs 1 green black, and during your upkeep it does a damage to you. So, not much of a card. But the
Right.
other clause is whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you gain life equal to its toughness. And it turns out that in multiplayer play, lots of stuff goes to the graveyard.
Yes.
Often all at once. And I was down around 28 life when I played Grim Feast. And like 4 turns later, I was 127.
Right.
Because there was, I believe I cast the Wrath, or it was Decree of Pain, I think. But I cast something, wiped the board, and you had like 40 toughness worth of creatures alone.
Yeah. Well, and Missy had like 18 2/2 zombies.
Oh, that's right. She had all the zombies, yeah. And so the life gain, I mean, life gain as a strategy, actually, life gain as a dedicated strategy is really good. Life gain as a sort of incidental strategy is not.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a lot. I mean, this card is 3 mana and will gain you 60 life on a fairly regular basis. So that has been really worth it. I mean, Niv Mizzet, which is a deck that has 6 cards from every single guild.
Mm-hmm.
You basically, the way I built this deck was I went through guild by guild and picked 6 really cool cards from each. And Grim Feast is a really old card, Mirage, I think.
Yes,
but was good enough to make the cut in Golgari, which is a guild that is not lacking for fun and interesting permanents.
Yeah, to be fair, to say the very, very least.
Yeah, so, and obviously it's got, by Golgari, I mean, it has to be a 2-color green-black card,
right.
Not like a guild-affiliated card or something, because it's a Niv Mizzet deck.
Your point about life gain is that, I mean, think about 20 or 30 life over the course of a game is probably netting you an extra turn. Right?
Yes.
It's keeping you from getting killed an extra turn. And the more life you gain, obviously commander damage could be a thing, but the more life you gain, the more time you have to do the things that you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, and that it kept me alive for quite a bit longer than it otherwise would have. I was relevant in that game up until the end because you guys had to chip me. I think that the life gain there gained me 3 turns of you having to chip in for 30.
Right. Yeah, I mean, in extreme life gain cases, I remember a game back when we were still playing at the shop that my friend Shay had a half-Dane deck and was attacking me for like 700 a turn. And as long as it wasn't commander damage, I was okay, because I was playing Tristani, Selesnya's Voice, and I was gaining back 700 a turn or whatever by copying Sarah Avatar. Not Sarah Avatar. Sarah Avatar.
Oh, God. Gross.
But I think life gain, I mean, it can get a little boring sometimes if it's, like a lower decks or just, but I think a little life gain on the side in many of your decks is going to pay some dividends. Grim Feast, very sweet card, great hidden gems pick.
So what do you
I'm going to go ahead.
No, so what do you got?
I'm going to go with one that I put into my high-powered deck as a little bit of tech. It's called Interdict. It is from Tempest. It's an instant. It was actually an interrupt back in the day. For 1 and a blue, counter target artifact, creature, enchantment, or land ability, requiring an activation cost, and abilities that permanent cannot be played again this turn. And it's a cantrip. So it counters just about every kind of activated ability, except for planeswalkers. And then if you have especially if you have an activated ability that repeats itself during turns, say Isochron Scepter dramatic reversal kind of thing. They simply can't. The player simply can't use that again in the turn. It's not going to help. Like if somebody creates a boatload of mana and wants to activate Una, it's not going to help because then they can just do it again. But because Una doesn't require tapping, but the fact that you get the counter of one big activated ability, and some of those activated abilities that we have are really, really important, and then shuts down the permanent from activating again for the turn, takes a lot of options out of the hands of your opponents.
Yeah, and of course, in high-powered play, the obvious low bar scenario there is it counters a fetch land activation.
Right. Yeah, I mean, most of them are running Stifle for that because it only costs one, but it does that, and the fact that it's a cantrip is just insane to me. It's not necessarily going to prevent infinite combos from happening, but it's certainly going to shut down some things. If Scott won that one game with flinging a giant something at somebody's face from Brian's Stout Arm,
yep.
Right? Countering that one activation saves somebody's life.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the thing you have to watch out for there is, especially when you're dealing with a combo, is you have to make sure they can't go out and can't continue it in response.
Right.
Because it doesn't have split second or anything. So if they can, while that's on the stack, they're still able to activate it in response and carry on going off. But it will stop any sort of sorcery speed based combo pretty much in its tracks.
Yeah, well, in the days that it was an interrupt, it would have.
Oh God, now I have to try to remember the batch rules.
Yeah. It would have definitely stopped it. But yeah, for now, it would probably, if it were going to be made in 2020, it would probably have to have split second to be really impactful.
Well, that's an interesting philosophical question, because in general, when WotC fixed in 6th edition, when WotC created the stack, fixed all the batch interrupt, etc. interactions. Now, they didn't have split second.
Right.
If Interdict had pseudo split second back there, should it have been eroded to have split second to restore original functionality? I'm sure the answer from WotC is no, because it's just way too much of a mess.
It's way too much of a mess for cards from a time that aren't getting played anymore.
Right. And
there are plenty of cards that could use there are plenty of cards that could use some errata, but the opportunity cost is way too high because the use case is next to zero.
Sure. I mean, the question there is, if you're generally they don't like to do power level errata for obvious reasons, but does it? And again, I can't remember exactly how batches and all that worked. So, did the card effectively have split second back then, and should it still have it now? Is actually a very interesting philosophical question.
Huh, let's chat with Eli, see what he's got to say.
All right, why are we talking about this?
All right, we've gone into the mines and found some hidden gems. Here's hope that it inspires you to do a little spelunking on your own.